I put out this poll out 7 hours ago. It was about 9,000 votes on it. I asked, will the Biden regime try and arrest Trump before the midterms? 89% of the people that responded to this poll said yes. 89% people that responded to this poll, so nearly everyone, thinks that the regime is going to move in a way to arrest Trump.
Yeah, I think that the one part of the affidavit that I pointed out earlier really makes me think this is they tried to include this one interpretation of, I read it a million times and I won't be able to remember it now, some U.S. code law that says essentially, yes, we could arrest the president even if we think that national security is at threat. It doesn't matter if he declassified the documents. It doesn't matter if they never were classified. If we think he has something that would jeopardize national security. And that's just one interpretation of a very broadly written law that doesn't actually say that. But in one of the unredacted parts is their interpretation saying, well, it doesn't matter.
With the whole arresting thing, like I think that they want to, but certainly they're smart enough to not do that.
I'm not sure, Cam. I was listening to...
Certainly, they can see the repercussions.
I think if they do arrest him and it does, that all becomes public record, so they can't redact once it becomes public record.
Well, I mean, and on top of that, look what happens if that goes down.
Thank you, Tara.
In 2016, Donald, I think I may have talked to you about this before, PJ. But in 2016, Donald Trump was the avatar of the disaffected, the discontented, and the people who were tired of what they were dealing with, tired of Obama, tired of Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton, etc. And so he was their avatar. And I think right now, when you see that FBI raid and all of that, he is still acting as an avatar, but the left is viewing him as an avatar for the people. And so you have this dynamic here. I think that they want to make everyone scared, but I think if they actually arrested him, people do see him as them in some sense of the word, and you're not going to have a peaceful response to that.
My theory, and I've been saying this for a few months now, and I hope to God I'm wrong, but I really think this is where they're going, and I've got some evidence I could bring up for this. I think the October surprise isn't just that they arrest Trump. I think the October surprise is that they want the violent reaction and they want to shut down anybody on our side from being able to vote at all.
Right. I think that it's just so big. Like I don't want to. I don't think they're as dumb as some people think. But if they want it, yeah, that makes sense. But
I don't think they've already crossed the Rubicon, right? By doing this already, so they have to lean into it. They can't back off now. They have to lean into the actions they've already committed. So the half measure isn't going to work for them at this point.
Right.
I think that they want it too much, and they believe their own press too much, that the only people who are really with Trump are just far-right extremists. I think that they've said it so many times that they believe it.
They've set the stage for making a certain side of making our side of the political spectrum to be out, to be violent extremists who are not shouldn't be allowed in this country. I mean, just look what Kathy Hochul said this week. She said that 5.4 million Republicans should just leave New York because. Well, I'll just read her quote. Sorry. She said, I'll just jump on a bus and head down to Florida where you belong. That's what she said to her own citizens, the ones that she's the governor over. So I think these people actually do want a civil war. I think they're pushing for it. Or if not a civil war, they just want the violent reaction to be enough that they can crack down on everyone.
Well, we're heading into, I mentioned this in our Telegram chat that we have for the host and things about that quote, and I'm kind of where you're with at there, PJ, that Civil War mentality. They are looking to make us the enemy where it will be okay to actively hunt Republicans or conservatives or Trump supporters or anybody that disagrees with the Democrat Party.
The violent rhetoric is already like surpassing that of the 1860s America. If you think about this, okay? In 1865, when we actually had a civil war, people were divided on about two things. They were divided on the idea of states' rights, and they were divided on the idea on slavery. If you think about today, are we more divided or less divided than the actual Civil War times? I would say we're far more divided because there's not a single issue that we're anywhere close on. There's no middle ground at any of the major issues today. Because you could at least argue in the 1860s, they all had a common ground understanding of most of reality, for one. I mean, we're not even in agreement on reality anymore. Like the reality of biological facts like gender. We're not in the agreement on sexualizing children, on mutilating children, on abortion. There's nothing that we have a middle ground where we can just come together on. At least in 1860s America, you could say, yeah, we pretty much agree on most things, or at least have a common ground idea of most things outside of these two issues, outside of federalism and outside of slavery. I don't think we're there today.
Well, and they're trying to evoke a violent reaction out of our side, but if you look at what happened in 2020, they had a violent reaction on their side. They stoked the fire, they stoked the flames, and then we had the summer of love leading up to the 2020 election. And I think they're trying to do the same thing now, except to have us do that, and I don't think we will.
I think in a lot of ways, this war is being fought on social media, and when they suspend us, when they erase us, it is like that quasi killing somebody and removing them from the fight.
Well, they just took down Andrew Tate. I know there are some people out there that are not big fans. I didn't even know who Andrew Tate was, to be honest.
I'm not a big fan
until recently. But again, just another example of silencing voices that they may not agree with. I think we talked about this at the last stream where we talked about Alex Jones being that canary in the coal mine, and where nobody said anything. And they displatform him everywhere. So who did they go after next? When nobody outraged? Well, of course, it was Trump and others.
Yeah.
With Andrew Tate, I will say I vehemently disagree with this guy's premise. I understand that he says some things people like, and if you just look at the stuff that you like, he says some really powerful, really positive stuff. I've listened to some of his clips, and it's like, wow, that is spot on. Then you really look into the guy, and you're like, this guy's disgusting, and I don't want to defend him. But it's the same thing as Alex Jones. It doesn't matter if you like him or not. You can't
exactly.
While people like that get deplatformed and silenced and expect they're not going to come for you next. That's what happened when they took Alex Jones off of platforms a few years ago. That's what they're trying to set up now. I said it a few weeks ago when me and Katie covered the Alex Jones trial. I said they're going to start coming after other people like that, and they wasn't long before they came after Andrew Tate, whether I like him or not. And I personally don't.
The whole point of freedom of speech is to give speech to people you disagree with. We wouldn't need freedom of speech in the Constitution if it was for the speech we agree with, because nobody's trying to shut that down. So you have to defend all speech, not just what you think is right.
Thank you so much for checking out this clip from the Last American Pubcast, the only podcast where everybody knows your name. And hey, while you're here, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and join us on a Saturday night from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Otherwise, you might get stuck with the tab.